Lions 31, Giants 18. Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. Only the third losing podcast of the year, and I'll be honest, it's still just, it always feels bad. We're going to break it all down, what happened on offense, defensive issues. But Justin, I kind of want to get sports radio on the beginning of this podcast and start in a way we usually want it. Because this is one of the times where, like, you know, radio people, whoever, like, they're right. And it's the thing that bothers me the most from this game, from going into this game, and then coming out of this game, which I think is the biggest issue. And that's the fact that Adoree Jackson probably has an MCL sprain and is probably going to miss 3 to 5 games. You know, Jordan Schultz reported it. Nothing official yet besides that report, and that was very quick after, so I'm not 100% buying into that. And
his x-rays came back negative.
Yeah, we'll probably have more news on that when you're listening to this podcast. But nonetheless, putting him back at punt return was insane. And that is not revisionist history. Justin, we talk about it all the time. First-year head coach, winning Brian Daboll like he's beloved by Giants fans, and I think deservedly so. When Adoree Jackson, when it's like they're going to let him be the punt returner, we came out and said, like, this is dumb. Like, the risk does not meet the reward. And there was not, like, a single Giants fan who, like, came after us. So everybody saw this coming. The fact that this guy, one, is so important to your defense. It's essentially the most important piece on your defense. Probably your second best player after Dexter Lawrence. But the most important piece on your defense, because there's no depth at that spot. And it's just, you need him to, like, what he does for the defense is huge. And even more so when Xavier McKinney's out for however long. Like, there's no safety help over the top. Okay, or at least not really good safety help over the top. So now we are in a bad situation if Adoree Jackson is missing games. And for what, Justin? What is the reward of putting him back there as the punt returner?
Was it worth it? Was it really worth it?
Even if it's just when they had their meetings about this, what was the reward part of this? Of Richie James not fumbling it? Because you can find guys that aren't going to fumble a punt return, Like David Sills has been a healthy, because they can't get rid of Richie James because he's their backup slot wide receiver. Guess what? You could get rid of David Sills. He's been a healthy scratch the last couple weeks. You have Khalil Pimpleton on the practice squad. I don't know if he can hold on to the ball, but there's punt returners out there who can hold on to the ball. The same way the Giants picked up Pharoh Cooper last year when Jabril Peppers got injured. So this was totally avoidable. This was totally avoidable for a guy who misses games every single year and was so important to your defense that now we're going to be missing him. And we're going to break down the offense, defense, and do all this stuff. But this is the time where it's like, man, that was an egregious decision. And there is no revisionist history. That is not hindsight. That from the start was an insane decision from this Giants coaching staff.
Besides Andrew Thomas, who's the one player on the roster we said heading into this season, not knowing that the Giants would be 7-2, 7-3, have a great season, who is the one player that we said the Giants cannot lose this year?
Adoree Jackson.
Not only did they lose Adoree Jackson today, Fabian Moreau had a rib injury. Who knows how long he'll be out for. So now we had Cordell Flott rotating in with Darnay Holmes, Nick McLeod, who wears like a safety number.
Rodarius
Williams. Hello, welcome back. Good chance you'll be if this lasts long enough, good chance you'll be covering Justin Jefferson on Christmas Eve. But until then, here's Terry McLaurin. Here's A.J. Brown. Here's CeeDee Lamb. Here's CeeDee Lamb next week on Thanksgiving. Have a ball. All because Adoree Jackson had to take a hit that he would never take, by the way. Brian Daboll said it's football. I call BS. When is Adoree Jackson taking a hit like that? Unless, I guess, he's returning an interception back. When is he ever taking a hit like that?
And even then, as an interception return, you're probably not going to take a hit like that.
Maybe, hypothetically.
That was, again, that's an egregious decision. There's coaching decisions that you may not agree with or this, and I'm sure we'll talk about some of that in this game, But it's like, okay, this was the thinking behind this. I cannot understand why they ever thought that this was going to be a good idea.
And I get it from the stance
This isn't Deion Sanders. This isn't Woodson, guys that just do this. This is Adoree Jackson, who had issues in Tennessee returning punts too, by the way, holding on to the ball. So it's not like he's Mr. Sure-handed. I know he was great at USC doing this.
Didn't he have past knee issues too?
injury issues every single year, and is like essentially the most important player in your defense. And now he's. But
it's also like
like this could be a season tanking injury.
Oh yeah, well, Bobby, I was in the stands and I turned to my buddy David, and I was like, Dave, even if Adoree Jackson, like best case scenario, he's out 2-3 weeks, right? I feel like that's best case scenario. If he's out just a couple weeks, which there's only a couple weeks left of the season, I turned to him and I said, I know this is being dramatic right now, but I feel like the season's over. Which that is a dramatic take, and I'm going to look back on that Monday and be like, the season's not over, you still have a lot of games left, but again, you lose Adoree Jackson. It's not like this is Darius Slayton back there, where Darius Slayton's your wide receiver one. I would rather have Darius Slayton back there. I would have rather had Wando Ramsa back there. I would have rather had so many of these skill position players. Even I would have rather have, how many times have we seen the last couple years Darnay Holmes taking punt returns in camp? I would rather have Darnay Holmes back there. Just out of all these guys that you can name, so much of them were better suited for the spot than Adoree Jackson, just simply because if they were to get hurt, it is not going to virtually end your season.
Even a guy like Alex Bachman, I know he just signed with the Texans practice squad, but could have signed him to return punts. There's a lot of guys out there who can return punts, and it's not about, how good are they as punt returns. It's kind of like, being a punt returner is about not being bad, not necessarily being great. Obviously there's some great ones out there, but yeah, I mean that's just a huge injury for this Giants season. Yeah. And as the schedule's about to get tough, that's rough, man. And we'll talk about when we get to the defensive portion of this show how it made a difference on this game as well too. Yeah. So. But I wanted to start off with that because that has just been on my mind all day. It's you gotta be kidding me. And as soon as he caught the punt too, I'm like, please don't get hurt, please don't get hurt.
Yep.
And then it's just of course that he gets hurt on this punt return.
Was it worth
5
it?
yards.
No, it was not worth it.
No. Let's get into the offense though, and we talk about offense then defense on the pod. You were at the game. I was watching at home. Nothing really worked well offensively. Obviously, the Daniel Jones turnovers, but we can talk about run, pass, all that stuff. A day where Saquon Barkley has 15 carries for 22 yards, 1.8 yards per carry. Not many teams are going to have success with a rushing game like that. The Giants especially not. Their running game was pretty pitiful today.
No, this Giants team isn't going to have success if they can't at least be somewhat efficient on the ground. I mean, you could talk about the first down splits, second down splits of when they throw the ball, run the ball, which I'm going to, but flat out, if this Giants team can't sustain any kind of running game, they're not going to have success this year. It's just not going to happen.
And this team is really missing Daniel Bellinger. And it showed up today because you just don't have a two-way tight end on the team who can block and be
but here's my question, though, Bobby.
Of the receiving game.
Yes, they are missing Daniel Bellinger, but why the sudden change to just putting Lawrence Cager out there on running downs? Why that sudden change? Because Chris Myrick, I understand he's maybe not the best blocker, maybe not as good of a blocker as Daniel Bellinger, but they just suddenly made that change where Lawrence Cager became tight end one, where I feel like Chris Myrick, he's not a liability when you have him out there versus Lawrence Cager is converting. He is a convert from wide receiver.
Yeah, and I don't think Cager even totally blew up the run game a ton, but he was bad. Yeah, he did last week. So this was the first game where they ran mostly out of 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 back. Not only did they do it mostly, every single Saquon Barkley carry was out of 11 personnel in this game. And Cager was out there for 11 of those 15 carries. On the Cager carries, he was 11 for 8. Again, that's not all on Cager, but there was a couple times. And then when they had Nick Gates or Chris Myrick as the tight end out there, Saquon had 4 carries for 14 yards. So, a difference of 0.7 yards per carry and 3.5 yards per carry, which is a huge difference. So the reason I think they got away from the 2 tight end stuff is because it's you're bringing in this heavy personnel and you essentially have a wide receiver and Lawrence Cager out there blocking. It's not helping. So I can understand them going to 11, but why have Lawrence Cager out there? Lawrence Cager, I think, is more of an issue as a blocker than Chris Myrick is as a wide receiver. Chris Myrick he's not going to be the receiving threat that Lawrence Cager is, and I know that I get why they did it, but with hindsight, you'd be better off throwing Chris Myrick out there and having some blocking ability, and because they were running out of shotgun 11 personnel. I think they were trying to get to some of the read option stuff too, which did work with Daniel Jones. They were just zone blocking, and the offensive line was horrible with zone blocking, namely John Feliciano. Like, Feliciano was, I think, the biggest culprit for the run game being bad.
All right, yeah, because I was going to ask you two different questions. One, why was the running game so bad today? Because honestly, I don't think Detroit was like stacking the box. I don't think that was it. I know Shane Lemieux was. They were? Okay.
Yeah. If you look at NFL Next Gen, it'll say like he didn't face 8-man boxes, but when you have 6 men, when they have 7 men in the box versus 11 personnel, well, that's a stacked box.
Yeah, it's
just
stacked
not
box.
an 8-man box.
Okay. All right, so that's good to know. So that's where you got to differentiate the next gen stuff from the eye test, and just play a numbers game. 7 guys on defense versus 5 offensive linemen, right? So, all right. So let's just start there. Besides John Feliciano, we know Shane Lemieux had a bad game. He was benched in like the first half. Why was the running game just not successful? Lawrence Cager, we talked about that.
A lot with Feliciano, some with Cager and stuff, and just they were flowing in versus the zone, and they had gap advantages. Parrott had a really bad block. The first play of the game, I don't know what the hell happened.
It was weird.
Yeah, and Saquon also looked a little hesitant too. Like, this was the first game where Saquon looked a little hesitant. Where Saquon's his best is when you're running gap stuff, pin and pull, and it's just like, all right, this is your gap, go and hit it. Today he looked a little too hesitant.
And then here's my second question to you.
And they're running out of the gun, and it was, I think that makes Saquon a little more hesitant just in general when you put him behind center, when behind the quarterback. I think there was a lot of factors, but I think that mainly it was just they were playing versus stack boxes, running zone, and our offensive line was not good blocking zone.
Yeah, well, playing stacked box is a better argument for throwing the ball, especially on early downs. We'll talk about that, but I want to stick with the running game. Second question I have for you. There seemed to be a lot of plays where Daniel Jones had a read option. Now, did you think that there were opportunities for him to pull it? Or do you think that he did a good job of sensing when the edge defender was sticking with their edge, sticking with their gaps, and then just handing the ball off to Saquon?
The edge rushers played it pretty honest, and then if they didn't, DJ did hold it. There was a couple times where it's like maybe he can hold it, but it's not like he needs to hold it, because it's a hold it, like he can maybe outrush, beat him to the corner. Like that 4th and 1 was an example of one where it's like maybe he holds it, maybe he doesn't, and he holds it on that, and he just beats the guy to the corner. But you don't want to have your read option living and dying on Daniel Jones beating a guy to the corner and the receiver having a really good block as well.
Daniel Jones also doesn't make people miss. That's not part of his game. So if he's like one-on-one versus an edge rusher, it's not like, Lamar's out here, Hurts is, it's not like another, quarterback that can make guys miss in the open field. That's not what Jones does. He's very fast, but not going to make guys miss.
Right. Talk about the run-pass ratio, because I know that's something you want to talk about.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's something I want to talk about. I don't really have a strong point. Like I said, if the Giants' running game wasn't working in this game, and it just flat out wasn't working, doesn't really matter what down it is, Giants weren't going to win this game. That's how they stay on schedule on offense. They don't produce passing plays of 20-plus yards consistently to keep themselves in games. So, Giants on first down versus the Lions through the first 7 drives of the game, not counting the final drive of the first half. That basically, I think they just went 3 and out. So, running plays, they had 10 runs of 17 yards, 1.7 yards per carry on first down. Passing, they went 3 for 5, 54 yards, 18 yards per completion, and all 3 completions went for 15-plus yards. Pretty sure they went to 3 different receivers as well. The interceptions really hurt. I mean, that's what I really think kind of defines this game. The Giants had a 6-3 lead. The Aiden Hutchinson interception happened on a second down. An early down pass attempt, first and second down or early downs. Second down pass attempt, Giants had a 6-3 lead. Lions scored touchdown. Giants didn't have the lead after that. But throwing the ball on first down was working. And all 3 of those pass completions through the first 7 drives went for 15-plus yards. Big plays that the Giants offense kind of desperately needs and they don't get super often. And they had a lot more runs on first down that went for negative or no yards versus pass plays that maybe could have gone for definitely more than what the running game was doing.
Here's my rebuttal to that, though, is that I don't think that has had really much impact at all on how the Giants offense worked today.
I mean, you don't think that if they, you don't think if they chose to throw the ball on first down more that it would have an impact on the game? 10 runs of 17 yards?
Well, Saquon only had 10 carries in the first half. That's not a lot. And they're a team that has to run the ball. And I went through those drives. The first drive, they lose yards on the first down run. They punt 3 and out. Okay, you got a point there. The second drive, they score a touchdown. The third drive, they have a 4-yard run on first down. That's successful. They get to 3rd and 3. Then they have a penalty that puts them on 3rd and 8. And they threw the ball on second down. That's not on the run game. The fourth drive, interception. The fifth drive, I got little squiggly notes, but it wasn't like a Saquon Barkley, only gets 1 or 2 yards runs on first down.
Fifth drive, they had a pass play of 19 yards on first down, then they had an incompletion. Then on second down, they had a pass play of 13 yards. First down, they had a Wandale run of 4 yards. Then second down, they had a Jones run of 1 yard, and then that was the drive.
On which drive?
The fifth drive that you're talking about, the fifth drive.
1, 2, 3. So after the interception.
Yep, after the interception. And then the seventh drive, and this is after...
So, yeah, I mean, they got 4 yards on first down. That's good, running the ball. And that was with Wandale, not Saquon. Second down,
No, but the point is that when you're throwing the ball...
a passing play, third
when
down
you're throwing the ball for when you're throwing the ball for 15-plus yards on first down, that's something that's working. I get this is a run-first team. I get you're trying to establish that, in a game where, again, this is a run-first team. And I don't think it wouldn't have mattered in this game. It just wouldn't have mattered. Like, the interceptions define the game because the Lions got 14 points off those interceptions. That's what defined the game more than anything. Yeah, but I adamantly disagree with your point of,
so they should just never run the ball on first down. The Saquon Barkley New York Giants should never run the ball on first down, even when it's successful.
I started off this conversation by saying, doesn't matter. This game doesn't matter if the Giants can't run the ball. But you saying that, it didn't, just 15 yards, averaging that per completion on first down doesn't matter. I think that's a bad point.
They're not going to average 15 yards on every first down pass. So you can't take away a successful first down run because it doesn't get you 16 yards.
All right.
And again, I went through all those drives, and the first drive is the only one where it's like, yeah, first down run really screwed that drive.
But a first down pass puts you in a much better spot.
Maybe. I mean, there was 2 incompletions. Those are 2 negative. Those are 2 second and 10s on those.
You're correct. You are correct. But the interceptions define this game, no matter what.
Right. Yeah. So I have no problem with the run pass ratio on first down this game. Like, you can't.
Yeah, it just goes for 2 yards per attempt.
Last week I absolutely did. But they had 2 incompletions. Like, that's a lot worse than a 4 or 5 yard run, which they had some of those.
Which they didn't get. They barely got 4 or 5 yard runs, and they only started to get those 4 yard runs when they had success on first down throwing the ball.
But I mean, I'm telling you, I went through all the drives, and
yeah, I did too. I mean, how do you think I came up with the stats?
I'm saying, but go through them, and running the ball on first down didn't prohibit their drives at all, besides the first drive of the game.
All right, but like I said, the interceptions just define the game. So let's get to that.
I mean, the interception to Joseph on that series, it was a first down pass, second down first down pass, and then he throws the interception on 4th and 5. Yep. So with Daniel Jones, I mean, Daniel Jones played bad in this game, obviously. I thought both interceptions were pretty bad too, not the what the hell are you doing interceptions, but bad interceptions. The Hutch one, you could say it's a great play, good job by the Lions dropping Hutchinson back in the coverage. Hutchinson was right in his line of view. That wasn't like TJ Watt intercepting the ball versus, when we played the Steelers in week 1 versus Evan Ingram, where he just pops out. It's like, that's just a hell of a play. You can't really be mad at Daniel Jones on that. Like, he pops out, and yeah, it's a defensive end, But Daniel Jones has his back turned because it's under center play action. He flips his head, and Hutchinson's already in his drop. So it doesn't matter that he wears number 97. He's in a linebacker spot right there in the side of view. You wait like a snap of your finger, and you can get that ball past him. Like that was either Jones rushing it. It'd be worrisome if he just didn't flat out see it, or it's DJ trying to get that rush that before the corner from the left sideline was able to make a play on Slayton.
Looked very similar to the one that didn't count in Jacksonville.
Well, that was a RPO. Like that. See, like if that one in Jacksonville counted, I wouldn't have been too mad at Daniel Jones. That was just Devin Lloyd making a great play reading an RPO. This was under center, turn your head. There's a linebacker right in your line of view, and he just pulls the trigger. Whether he didn't miss him or he pulled the trigger a half a second too early, it's a bad interception by DJ.
Yeah, I mean it's just a shame that him throwing an interception was going to happen eventually. Yeah, he had the longest streak in the NFL of not throwing an interception, and in a game where the running game wasn't working and you needed to rely on the passing game a little bit more. It's just a shame that it came in this game and it led to 2 interceptions, led to 14 points on the lines, and I think that tells you the game right there. So
yeah, one of the interceptions, the Hodgins fumble actually led to a touchdown. But that was a huge play, and then the second one, to Cager. That was fourth down. It was like the decision. It was the throw to make, and he just floated it. He put one. I don't know why he put touch on that. Anyways, it's not like it was a deep ball. It's like should have put some zip on that. And even then, I don't know if it's completed. It's gonna be a bang bang play, but at least you gave Cager a chance. He just floated it, and you have an interception, and that was a huge. That's essentially points off the board. But I don't know if that's converted either. So I'm not gonna. I'm not worried about Jones missing throws a ton, so I'm not as mad about that one. But the Hutchinson one, I mean, like you said, the Lions scored 31 points. 14 of those 31 came off of an 18-yard drive after the Hutchinson interception, and then another 7 happened after a 33-yard drive off a Hodgins fumble, where the game was still in chance there. Like that, like they score on that drive and they moved the. DJ had a nice third down throw on that. Not crazy to say they score on that drive. You got yourself a 1-possession game with 6-7 minutes left in the game. Yeah,
I mean, I'm going into halftime, and I'm still feeling like the Giants are in this game. I don't feel like the Lions were really. I mean, this is even just from start to finish. I don't feel like the Lions just fully just outplayed the Giants. I mean, it was just so many. I mean, I think there were 7 penalties in the first half. I mean, special teams mistakes. You had Graham Gano. Missing some extra points. I know he wasn't feeling great to start the game. Kind of, I'm sure he's feeling like I am right now. Need a few more IVs than I needed. But, I mean, just a sloppy game all around.
Yeah, there's what's crazy is the receivers were really the only position group that played well for the Giants today. Like, I thought besides Hodgins fumbling, the receivers played well. Slayton had 5 catches for 86 yards. I know he had a drop at the end of the game, but that was not super, that was a little inconsequential. Wan'Dale Robinson, first Giants receiver to have 100 yards in a game, 9 catches for 100 yards on that play, Justin. While we're recording this, there's reports that there's a fear that it's serious. Wan'Dale put an Instagram story out with the sad face. I think Wan'Dale's done for the year, which would be his third injury. Essentially, his third injury of the season, missing the season, that's an issue for a wide receiver's rookie season who's 5'8". Like as the Giants build and look to add through the wide receiver group going forward, and our dumbass producer has a smirk on his face while we talk about the wide receiver group.
I just didn't think you needed to slip the 5'8" part in there. You're all.
Oh, okay. Well, it matters with injuries, so. I just think, how much are you betting on Wan'Dale Robinson coming off of possibly a ACL or whatever it is when we do find out?
Yeah, there's a reason why this loss sucks a lot more than just the game. I mean, I think the injuries to Adoree and Wan'Dale kind of as the 2 headline pieces there, I think that is the bigger loss in this game than the actual game itself. 100%. Especially Wan'Dale. This is the first game where you really felt like he was center point, little bit of a focal point of the offense. This is why you take a guy top 50, to take these little intermediate swing passes, whatever, just little dump offs at the line of scrimmage, and it's a solid 5, 6, 7 yard gain on first down, or it's a third down and he beats this guy to the sticks. Even I think he broke a tackle this game too. So you saw some of the things that Wandale could do. Had that first 100-yard game as a receiver, and now goodbye. Hopefully see you next year, heal up.
Yeah, and the Slayton 5 for 86. I want to ask you this. You were there. Explain to me Kenny Golladay catching a pass. How just the stadium erupted, it seemed like.
We listened to Carl Banks. Carl Banks wanted us to cheer nicely for Kenny Golladay. And it wasn't like an eruption, but it was like if 80,000 people were watching Phil Mickelson put in a putt. Like,
it seemed like a sarcastic cheer, too.
Oh, very much so. Yes, very much so. I'm sure it made him feel good, though.
I wanted a garbage time touchdown for him so bad at the end. So he had 2 catches for 29. So I actually thought the wide receiver room stepped up besides the Hodgins fumble.
That was a big 15-yard catch though that he had on second down.
Yeah. I think they had a second or first and 20 or second and 20. I think it was. He gets a 15-yard catch. Yeah. They were able to move the sticks after that.
I think there was a big first down catch, but then it was an OPI. Oh, another first down, another big first down play.
It was the rub route on Hodgins.
Yeah, another first down pass attempt that did well, but then it was called back for OPI. So then why not throw it again? And then boom, it did well.
Let's talk about the offensive line. So Lemieux got his first time playing in the NFL since week 1 of 2020 or 2021. He looked really bad, and then they benched him. Justin, I had no idea if Zudu was like ready to play. And after that first drive of the game where he gave the sack, he gave up a pressure on second down. I went and looked at the inactive list. I was like, wait, is Josh Zudu active? Like, because they had healthy scratches. I'm like, I think it was my first tweet of the game was like, I wonder how quick they would go to Azudu. Like they have healthy scratches and Azudu's active. Like, I don't know why if Azudu was ready to go in the second half. They weren't babying and it wasn't injured, but he was good enough to play in the second half. I'm very shocked that they threw Lemieux out there.
He must have looked good in practice. I mean, I that's bizarre. I mean, I wish I can give you more of a take. I mean, if we were able to see him in practice and how he looks and how he's moving, but clearly just wasn't ready. Wasn't ready to rock and roll. I would take a fully healthy. Here's the issue. We haven't gotten a fully healthy Lemieux. We don't know what a fully healthy Lemieux looks like, because when we see fully healthy Lemieux, it either doesn't count because it's during camp, or it's 20 snap versus Denver week 1. And that's the issue with Shane Lemieux, is that we don't know. What we do know from Shane Lemieux when he's fully healthy is his rookie season. He was really bad in pass pro, and then lo and behold, some of the struggles that I think he had his rookie year of kind of facing, maybe a little bit more speed move. I mean, he just wasn't moving. I don't think he was moving his feet. I mean, you probably can see it a little bit better than I did, but just wasn't ready.
Yeah, and I don't want to totally write him off as a player because, Bredesen week 1 was pretty damn bad, and he turned it around through the season. But that's why going in, when we go through mailbag questions talking about the offensive line, it's like there's no way I'm going to call. I won't, as much as I can't stand Glowinski, I'm not going to call for Lemieux. It's like we haven't seen the guy play since 2021 where he was
disappointed.
On
it. I was expecting. I was
intrigued. I was intrigued to see what see what he looked like, but I also was like, well, why? I would have never been willing to bench a healthy Josh Azudu over him, because Azudu hasn't been horrible in pass pro the last couple weeks. He hasn't been really good, but hasn't been horrible. And you just draft him in the 3rd round. He has a better profile to be a good offensive lineman. Like that was shocking to me. Like I thought I was intrigued to see Lemieux play because I thought Azudu wasn't going to be available. I didn't know that they were going to be. He was available for like not just an emergency situation, but to be benched. Like Lemieux to be benched and Azudu to go in.
Yeah, it was after we taped our preview pod, and then Friday, both Wandale maybe shouldn't have been trending towards the right direction. Wandale and Azudu were trending in the right direction, and that was unexpected because I thought usually you don't practice Thursday, you don't play. So, before we get to the rest of the offensive line, I want to talk about something. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. It's my go-to betting on this NFL season, and especially during this holiday season with same-game parlays. They got easy and fast payouts. Player prop bets, you got all the options in the world. Right now, new customers can bet just $500 on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Check this out. Right now, everyone can earn up to a 100% boost with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, place a same-game parlay, combine multiple bets like which team will win, player props, point totals, and more. I hope, if the rushing total for Daniel Jones was like in the 40s, you got to hit. Got over this past game. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code JOHNBOY. Place $5 bet on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code JOHNBOY. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Last thing on the offensive line, the offense in general, Feliciano went out of the game. Nick Gates went to center, and he looked like a better player than Feliciano. And it was the first time we got to see him in pass pro. He had like some dominant reps too. You know, a couple of little iffy ones, not like horrendous ones where he got beat horribly, but a couple of iffy ones. But he looked good. So now I've went from like, I kind of want to see Nick Gates center to where now I'm like, Nick Gates should be the starting center Thursday versus the Cowboys. I would like to. Like, he should be the starting center versus the Cowboys on Thursday. He's younger. Feliciano is not good. Feliciano was a huge issue today. And listen, I'm not going to come out here and say Nick Gates is going to come back and he's going to be the same level of player. But I am confident he'll be better than John Feliciano. He's younger. He provides more potential. Nick Gates should be the Giants starting center for the rest of the season.
Did he play the entire second half?
No, he played from the 2 minutes left in the third quarter to the end of the game. And there were some run reps in there too. And he had some nastiness about him, obviously. He's just a better center than John Feliciano. There was one play in pass pro where it's like maybe they messed up the blitz pickup, but I have to go back and like watch it from the all 22 angle to make sure. But he was by far a better pass blocker than Feliciano and a better run blocker because Feliciano was horrible in the run today. Yeah,
the big question was, can you have the strength to hold up in your legs? And that's the big thing with Nick Gates, because his leg, that's the thing that he had a major injury to. Can you hold up in your strength and pass pro when you're not leaning on guys? When you're in the run game, especially as this jumbo tight end, most of the time you're kind of leaning on guys, going in pre-snap motion. He had that running start to kind of hit dudes too. So that was the big test. And at least the one clip that you posted, I didn't get a chance to fully watch him because my brain was kind of elsewhere once Adoree Jackson got hurt. But you posted that one play where Nick Gates is at the line of scrimmage, holding his dude down in pass pro. Hand placement awesome, feet balanced, strength holding up in the legs. Everybody else is behind the line of scrimmage, getting beat, doing whatever they're doing, and Nick Gates is holding strong right at the line of scrimmage. So that was really cool to see, and I agree with you. I think Nick Gates kind of showed and proved that, he deserves to be in there over Feliciano.
Yeah, Nick Gates for center 2022. The campaign is totally back on. Defense. Do you have anything else on the offense before we move on?
Andrew Thomas looked awesome. There you go. Consolation.
O-line report this week will be Matt Parrott was back out there. He didn't look.
Oh yeah.
He had a bad run rep, but in pass pro he didn't look horrible. So this week O-line report will be Gage, Lemieux, Parrott, and probably a little Tom. It's going to be like 2020 all over again.
Who should have been starting at center full time anyway last year? Nick Gates, and who should have been starting at right tackle full time anyway? Matt Parrott. Back.
This is. Next week's O-line report is going to be like what week one of the 2021 O-line report should have been.
Yeah.
It's only missing guy is Will Hernandez. Pour one out for Will Hernandez.
Yeah, Ben Bredesen too. He's still floating around there too. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's the defense. I don't think, even though they gave 31 points, I don't think this was some god-awful game for the defense, but it was bad. You got 14 points from turnovers on an 18-yard drive and a 33-yard drive off the DJ interception, the Hodgins fumble. They gave up 3 points on the first drive of the game, Justin, off of an O'Shane Zimenez penalty, roughing the passer on third and long. That's huge right there.
Yeah.
And then where the difference between this game and any other Giants defensive game so far, well, guess what? They're the number 2 red zone defense in the NFL. They had 5 red zone trips, 4 touchdowns, 1 field goal. They're the number 2 third down defense in the NFL. The Lions were 6 for 12 on third down. They had 0 sacks, 3 QB hits, and no turnovers. They were not able to make impact plays, and on the plays where they usually get off the field, they weren't able to, Justin.
Yeah, and on first and second down, too, I want to look and see the third quarter. The Lions' first drive of the second half, they had 1 third down. And they scored a touchdown on that drive. So, I mean, even, we talk about how good this Giants defense is in the red zone. We especially talk about how good they are in third down. One of the best defenses in the league, but they're one of the worst defenses in the league on first and second down, too. So it's you gotta get a team to third down in order to stop them on third down, right? So especially with Adoree Jackson being out, and Jared Goff was able to kind of pick his way down the field. I know all 3 running backs for the Lions, all 3 of them did have runs of 15 plus yards, but still, I don't really feel like the explosive run play got the Giants today. I thought they were able to just kind of pick their way down the field and. In order to get to those third and shorts, they were able to convert third down. They kept the ball moving, especially now what's really frustrating, it's starting to really get to me. You have Leonard Williams, you have Dexter Lawrence, you have Kayvon Thibodeau. I know Aziz is hurt, but those guys got it. It can't all be on Dexter Lawrence to generate pressure. It can't all be on Dexter Lawrence, where if he has a game where he only gets a QB hit, if he's, Dexter Lawrence, I feel like was still solid in the run game. If there's a game where he's not getting 5 QB hits and a sack and a half, other guys got to pick up the slack and other guys got to win.
And this Lions offensive line is really, really good. Really good. And I thought Dex and Leo played good this game, but they didn't play great as pass rushers. They had good moments, but they like you said, they didn't have, the 5 I think they both had a QB hit. Yeah. Leonard Williams had that pressure where he just dominated Jonah Jackson on the first drive of the game.
Yeah, but that was really it. That was it for him.
Yeah, and he had some other decent moments. I thought they both made plays in the run. Like the best run defensive plays were Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence making stops at the line of scrimmage. But they just weren't able to get great pressure. And it's not like Goff didn't carve this Giants defense up. They were just able to stay on schedule. Like Goff went 17 of 26 for 165 yards. He went 2 for 6 on throws of passes over 8 yards. So they completed 2 passes over 8 air yards in this game, and then he only threw 20 or 6. It's like 6 out of 26 passes went over 8 air yards. Everything was underneath that, So one, you're not getting great dominating pressure from guys, but also like they got the ball out fairly quick. And then you lose Adoree Jackson, which is a huge part of that. It just allows them to stay on schedule and work the things that what do the Lions do well in their passing game? One, they take the deep shots. That didn't happen versus the Giants. But it's getting the ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown quickly. St. Brown, without Adoree Jackson on the field, 7 catches for 76 yards and 8 targets. So you don't look at those stats and like, wow, he lit it up. But he made huge plays for them. They had a 1st and 20 in the red zone. Catches a little 5-yard hitch. Rodarius Williams misses the tackle. Now they got a 2nd and 5. They get to a 3rd and 1. They end up scoring a touchdown on that drive. They have a 3rd and 7 in the third quarter. Cordell Flott has the robber safety underneath to help. Somehow he gets beat with inside leverage and gets beat on the drag route. Conversion on first down where Goff had pressure and had to roll out of the pocket, but Flott played bad on it. And I also thought both those guys were bad in run defense too, which Adoree Jackson has been an underrated part of his game, has been great in run defense. So bad in run defense too, and their run defense, wasn't, like you said, wasn't gashing us, but they were able to use, be efficient on high volume.
Yeah, O-line got their ass kicked on offense, D-line got their, front 7 got their ass kicked on defense, and, just the Giants not having any reliable interior linebackers kind of bites themselves in the ass again.
Well, I want to stick on the passing game.
Sure.
This is basically 3 games in a row where Kayvon doesn't do anything.
Yeah, which, I understood, certain times, he's getting better. I think it was after the Jacksonville game where we had we put out a clip and we said on the game reaction show, the multi-sack game for Kayvon is coming, where he had that awesome play against Baltimore, strip sack, saves the game. Game winner, called game. He had a decent amount of plays against Jacksonville. Gets held around his neck, has some QB hits, pressures, awesome, great. But then since then, just silence. Like the upward trajectory and the progression has stopped.
And I don't even look at pressure numbers. I just look like, do you win one-on-one reps with tackles?
He's just not.
The Seahawks killed him. Last week versus the Texans, facing Larry Tunsil, but he faced the right tackle a good amount, and he's been shut out. And we need that edge pressure. Not like Azeez Ojulari, missing him, I think, has been one of the more under talked about things for the Giants, is missing that edge pressure from him.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, the Giants had 3 QB hits today. Azeez Ojulari, do you really think Azeez Ojulari coming back, and let's just say Azeez is 100% ready to go, rock and roll, boom, from day one he gets back. Does that make this Giants pass rush suddenly an above average pass rushing unit where these guys are going to start winning more than they're winning now, besides Dexter Lawrence?
I mean, he had a strip sack in essentially the one full game he played healthy versus the Bears. It could take a third down conversion of 6-12 and make it 4-12. For example, that they ran that cover 0 look, and Goff had a ton of pressure, but he was able to hang in and get that ball to Tom Kennedy. That Flott versus Amon-Ra St. Brown catch I just mentioned, Azeez Ojulari makes a difference in that. And if Kayvon could, we're missing Kayvon. But again, we never, O'Shane Ximines and Jihad Ward not getting any pass rush, wins. I'm not surprised by that.
Right.
What worries me a little bit is not having Kayvon and then Azeez not being out there. That's the difference. I'm not expecting wins out of O'Shane Ximines and Jihad Ward.
Well, no, I'm just looking at the production of, you basically have 75% of your front four, right? You have 75% of your front four. And there's been too many games this year, even without Azeez Ojulari, where we're talking about 4 QB hits, 3 QB hits, 2 QB. There's just too many games this year. They've gotten
consistent pressure with Leo and Dex almost every game.
Yeah. I mean, there's been some, Leo had his 5 QB hit game against Seattle.
Pass rushing is an art where it's 4 good plays change the trajectory of a game. So
yeah.
It's I don't need Myles Garrett dominating rep in, rep out to be happy with my pass rush.
Just not getting those enough. That's it.
No. Anything else in the past game I had? So yeah, and not having Adore, it just let the Lions stay on schedule, and then on the opposite side, the Giants were able to stay on schedule.
There was one play
at all.
There was one. I think this was in the second quarter. Lions are marching down the field. Something I found to be very interesting. Giants are playing man coverage across the board. Amon-Ra St. Brown goes in motion. Julian Love follows him, then points to Dane Belton that you're gonna get him. Found it very interesting that I don't know if this is pre or post Adore going down. I think it might have been post Adore, because Adore was following Amon-Ra, right? Even in the slot.
He was definitely following him on the outside. On the slot, they were actually throwing these confused looks where they'd have the safety down. There was I remember there's one third down where they had Belton down covering Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I think we're talking about the same play, because Amon-Ra goes in motion and Julian Love points to Dane Belton. Okay, you're going to cover him now since he's on your side. Dane Belton covers him, I think, somewhat well. I think Amon-Ra still gets the catch. Thought that was very interesting that they had, safeties covering Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, they were. I think they were just trying to muddy up the reads of Goff, and they had Adore and Darnay. They basically had 3 for 2 with Adore and Darnay playing off, and then Dane Belton playing press up on Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is some stuff I liked that they did. And then just the run defense, like you said, Jalen Smith just got we know the linebackers are an issue, so I won't go on it too crazy. In fact, we'll talk about them in a second. This episode was brought to you by SeatGeek. Live events are back, which means you can get $20 off tickets at SeatGeek with promo code Giants. If you don't know what SeatGeek is, they're a ticketing app that makes buying tickets super simple. I've got the app on my phone. Whether it's football, concerts, basketball, baseball, festivals, or more, SeatGeek puts tickets from all over the web in one place to make buying simple. I use them to get my tickets for the Giants-Commanders game on December 4th. Come tailgate with us. SeatGeek rates every ticket from 0 to 10 to make sure you are getting a good deal. Green means good, red means bad. Every ticket on SeatGeek is backed by their buyer guarantee, so you can shop for tickets with confidence. Don't worry, we've got the hookup. Use code GIANTS for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code GIANTS. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app. Jalen Smith just got smoked all game long. All all game long. Like I when I did my rewatch, I made sure and every run play to just like I rewind and just watch Jalen Smith on this play. He was late and he just gets blocked. Once he gets guys like connected to him on a block, he does not get off of them. Like he has no plan for disengaging. He looks a little thin, so he gets driven back. Like even tight ends can block him. Like he was a huge reason the run game was bad today. Run defense was bad today was Jalen Smith. Like if there was one player on defense where it's like point to him, he's the reason the run defense was bad, I'm pointing to Jalen Smith.
Yeah, I think that's an NFL problem too. It's not just a Giants problem; it's kind of an NFL problem. I think it was a Ravens problem too for a couple years. I mean, they even drafted Patrick Queen in the first round. He wasn't that great for him. They obviously just traded for Roquan Smith. So linebacker spot they got to upgrade. I mean, I don't know what to say at this point. Like I don't.
I think it's
you
their
mentioned
biggest
how Tay Crowder came in, made some good plays, but all right, so Tay Crowder starts next week, and then he's gonna allow some big plays, and he's gonna have some bad plays, and then we're gonna be back in the same old rut.
Yeah, and even Tay Crowder did come in and make some good plays, but he also, when Hodgins fumbled the ball, that first run they had where they got the ball down to like the 1 or 2 yard line, Taylor Decker just wrecked Tay Crowder on that play. But he also did come. Now, I would play Tay Crowder over Jalen Smith. Like, I'd like to see two young guys, him and McFadden, next to each other. Tay Crowder at least comes up and brings some pop. The issue is next week versus Dallas. No matter who's their starting linebacker next week versus Dallas, they're probably going to look bad because Dallas just kills Tay Crowder. And Jalen Smith maybe will be a little more aggressive, which I think you kind of need to be to play the Dallas run game. So maybe Jalen Smith actually is a better fit for next game. But just in a game in, game out basis, I probably would like to see Tay Crowder out there. And then McFadden. McFadden had some bad plays, like that play action, and then the tight end block and release. He got beat on that in the red zone. He got called for a BS pass interference.
That was bad. And then basically the Wan'Dale Robinson, there was a third down Wan'Dale Robinson incompletion. That's like, well, if you're going to call the BS on Micah McFadden, you got to call it on that, and they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. I wanted them to call the pass interference on Wan'Dale, but like, if I was just a football fan and I saw them call pass interference on that, I'd be like, you got to be kidding me. That's horrible. But yeah, the Micah McFadden one was BS. Also, something that the Giants need to self-scout themselves with. Luckily, the fullback dropped it. So Micah McFadden is great at going and taking on fullbacks for the most part. Like he goes in full blast, full head of steam. Now, what the Lions did today is they ran play action and ran the fullback right at Micah McFadden, shows the block, and then leaks out. That's something that's something that the Lions offensive coordinator, credit to him, saw on film and said, we're going to do a little almost like a hesitation block and release. So that's something that is on film now that that the Dallas Cowboys will try and run something similar next week, unless they're idiots, which I guess Mike McCarthy offense and Kelmore, they can be a little stubborn. So, but it's something that's on film now, and we're lucky that he ended up dropping it. Yeah. But Micah McFadden, I thought, played for a rookie, with not huge expectations. I thought he did some good stuff in the run game. Yeah.
And hey, how irritable I am right now. Can we talk about something that makes me smile a little bit? Leonard
Williams and Dexter Lawrence being the only guys that make run stops in the run game. But overall, they had 34 carries, 163 yards, 4.8 yards per carry. So, again, like you said, they didn't gash us, but they were just able to be efficient with high volume. I kind of view the way they played similar to the way the Giants played versus the Texans last week. But a little more aggressive because Goff threw the ball 25 times. But, just the success on what they did was similar.
Yeah,
minus the big plays on offense.
I don't even feel like they ran a ton of that misdirection stuff that we talk about too, right?
They didn't run a ton. But they ran some.
Whatever.
I mean, as fearful as I was for their run game, they didn't live up to that hype.
They didn't need to.
But our offense just sucked.
Yeah, when you turn over the ball 3 times and can't run the ball, can't live up to your identity, can't stop the run, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. That's the game.
Anything else on the game before we move on?
I'd love to... We are going to talk about something important, I guess, to finish off, but I want to give a shout out to everybody that I saw at the game today. I saw a ton of people. I actually walked around the stadium a little bit more than I usually did, and I saw a ton of people. So if you said hi to me, thank you so much. But I want to give a shout out to Johnny Five, who Johnny Five, I think he is going to be at the Commander game because I think he just saw how awesome the L16 tailgate was today. So he wants to be at the Commander game when it's going to be better, when it's going to be catered by the Candlewick Diner. But Johnny Five, J5 Getting Live. Check out that show because Johnny Five literally brought chairs, brought a table, brought a cooler, brought like food, brought like, desserts, like everything to this. This is like a communal tailgate, at least as of right now, at least as of this year. This is like a communal tailgate that we got going on. And Johnny just brought all this crap for everybody, and everybody like enjoyed it. Everybody loved him. He hung out the entire time. A bunch of people from Twitter stopped by, and we all kind of made friends, met each other. It was very, very cool. So shout out to Johnny Five. Check out his show J5 Getting Live again. There was the Kadarius Toney jersey exchange between him and Danny King, which was awesome to see. So shout out to Johnny Five. You're an incredible dude. Very fun tailgate.
Yeah, just 2 weeks from now, I'll be up there for the Commanders game tailgate. Damn, there was one thing I wanted to ask you. That's basically kind of it. I mean,
also, I have a theory on why we lost the game today. Not a theory. I think this is why we lost the game. Very, very sloppy first half of the tailgate. Snacks and Company dropped a bottle of Captain Morgan, shattered all over the ground. They didn't take their first shot till 10 a.m. We get there at 8 a.m. They didn't take their first shot till 10 a.m. The Bluetooth speaker that has a playlist, that the playlist gets to certain landmarks with certain songs at certain times. Bluetooth speaker was dying, so our playlist rhythm was off. The entire rhythm of the first half of the tailgate was absolutely terrible, and that's when I knew that the game was going to go bad.
I'm starting to feel the heat on the Good Morning posts.
Yeah. We were reading them. I had my friends. We were reading them in the parking lot today, just laughing at. This is really distasteful. You should consider taking this down. You're a disgrace. Go Giants, though. Those are my favorite. The ones that end with "Go Giants," though, that's my favorite ones.
So here's where I am conflicted, is because I'm not some hunting. If you hunt, I don't have a problem with people hunting, but I'm also someone I don't believe in trophy hunting. I don't think people should trophy hunt. Which is what killing a lion absolutely is, but it's just this video series is literally something that was just a one-off, one time. The start of 2020, we're it's funny. Let's just run with it.
It's a little bit more than a one-off now.
Yeah. It's just that's how basically any Talking Giants joke starts, is by a one-off that ends up building steam.
That's how the O-line report started.
So and also the end of the rest of the year won't be as. Lions are just a majestic animal, so people love them more. If it was the same exact thing with a boar. If
there was a lion in your backyard, you would hate it a lot more.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. When I see that stuff, I'm when I see dudes posing with lions, killing lions, I'm that's kind of sucks. Congrats, you shot a lion. I don't know.
We photoshopped Brian Dable and Daniel Jones holding up a lion.
That one I don't care about.
Oh, okay.
But the other point is but at the same time it's just 4 seconds. You can move along, but then people are well, I follow you guys for Giant stuff. I don't want to it'd be one I'm not. People aren't getting mad at hunting pages for posting that, but it's this is a Giants page. So I definitely see the arguments, and we're gonna finish the year off strong. But this might be the last year of it. I won't cave into the people for the rest of the year. That's a fact. But I'm too stubborn for that. But this might be the last year of Good Morning posts.
Julian's mom was right?
No, she wasn't right, but it's just I just don't feel like dealing with it. And
I think my mom took down the Good Morning posts. She was the final straw.
No, actually not. Your mom makes me want to do it more. It's
what do you do for the Commanders one?
It's a good question.
I don't know. See, when they were Washington, we literally just had Daniel Jones shooting George Washington. In fact, that made Rich. We told Rich Soybert that on an interview, and he was just oh, that's just wonderful, isn't it? One of my favorite podcast moments was explaining how we killed the mascots each week to Rich Soybert.
Yeah.
But I think we could also tweak it to where it's we involve former players who do like to hunt and just to use a green screen and have them shoot stuff.
Julian can get creative with it.
Also, it's you play the same teams, so we'll see. but killing the lion really pissed people off.
One of the commenters on Instagram said, "I would really love to if this was an emoji instead."
No, we're not going to do that. Well, here's the thing: is I actually do care about all of our like followers and listeners, unless they're just dicks. So I see like I don't want to like piss people off that like us, you know. Like if I was just like going just for a reaction, I'd be like this is what I want. But I just want it because it's just funny. Like we joke about like pro violence podcasts. I don't know. Anyways, we'll see. I'm saying this after the Lions game, and then week 1 next year versus whatever team, I'm going to be killing something. So, All right, that's a podcast.
Whoa. We're not at an hour yet. We have one more thing to talk about.
What's that?
Somebody is possibly going to be making a visit.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy that Odell, if that's true, that he's actually going to, like, the Giants are going to bring him in for a visit and physical. Like, that is pretty substantial. But at the end of the day, I still think there's no way he's not going to be a Dallas Cowboy. And while I also am not going to give, like, I just want to give Odell a long-term contract. Unless it's like really cheap, and I don't think Odell would take that. Like I'm sorry, like I'm not giving a 30-year-old with his injury issues a long-term contract, And you look at his last, 2019 obviously was an issue with the Giants, the like off the field stuff. Goes to the Browns in 2020, was an issue there, was asking to be traded like in game for to other coaches during the game. Then the ACL injury, the Browns play better without him, and then forces his way out of Cleveland, and then he plays half of a season, does amazing, but he's in the perfect situation as a wide receiver 2 to the guy who was the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL last year in Cooper Kupp. I'm not ready to just like be like welcome back with open arms because it's the injuries and stuff. I'm just not giving a long-term contract to Odell Beckham Jr.
No, I agree.
Do you guys still think there's a 0% chance that he's a New York Giant?
No.
No, I don't think there's a 0% chance, but
I think there's I think there's like a 2% chance in my brain that he's a Giant this year.
If Joe Shane and Brian Dable want to be about smart, tough, dependable, which I would like to have a regime. I get it. People are going to say things and then do something else, but I would like to have a regime that sticks to their guns, and especially it seems like sticking to their guns of smart, tough, dependable has worked, right? Is Odell Beckham Jr. smart? No.
He is. Is he smart? He's smart, yeah.
He's smart?
Yeah.
With the Josina Anderson interview with Lil Wayne?
I think he does dumb stuff, but he's a smart person. I think he does stuff on purpose.
That's not being a smart teammate, in my opinion. So
no,
I mean,
it's not being a good teammate, but I don't think he's dumb.
I'm not saying dumb, but that's not being a smart teammate. Going on an interview with Josina Anderson and whatever he did in Cleveland.
Okay,
that's not smart. So I don't consider that smart. Is he tough? Sure, he's tough. Coming back after those injuries. Is he dependable? No, and that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get too caught up in the smart, tough, dependable. It's just I'm not giving a long-term contract to Odell Beckham Jr. Simple as that. I don't need to go into anything else.
But I mean, they go back on I think they go back on a lot of things that they have said and they've preached about if they sign him. I do.
I disagree. I don't think I think you think smart, tough, dependable, they'd be going back on that. I think you look too far into like 3 just random ambiguous words that they throw around. And then I think
I don't think they throw it around. I think it's part of what they do.
Well, sure, but you're never going to have a team full of cookie cutter players.
Yeah. And it's also, I think you also think that they would be going back on like, we're not going to go all in. Like this is about the future, not right now. And I don't think signing Odell is about now. Like, I don't think they're signing him because they don't have any wide receivers right now and they want to make a playoff push. I think it's because they want a wide receiver for next year. Obviously, they're going to draft people, but they want to sign people in free agency. This is just early free agency, essentially.
That's where I think it's a mistake because I'm not going to give a contract to Odell long term. That's my only issue. Like, if the Giants were in the Cowboys situation, I would offer him a lot. I don't think if I was any GM, I'd give him a long term deal, but I would. If I had the cap space, I was Super Bowl contender, I would give him $10 million for the rest of this year. No problem. But that's just not the Giants situation. So, and I just, like where the smart tough depend, like they're building a culture, and then it's like then you can bring in some some swings. Like Stephon Diggs in Minnesota, he was an issue at times. I mean, remember that Giants game in 2019? Like, we didn't know if Stephon Diggs was going to play because he was so pissed off at the team.
Yeah, he was going to show up. Yeah.
So that's an episode. We'll be back on Wednesday. We're going to be doing our second ever live podcast for the preview of the Cowboys game because we don't want to put it out Thursday morning because no one's going to listen to it on Thanksgiving. So Wednesday at like 4 o'clock, 4:15, we're going to do a live mailbag pod. We'll put it out on the podcast apps too if that's how you enjoy listening to it. And then obviously Friday, we'll have a pod recapping the Cowboys game, and then we'll O-line report, film review on everything. So we appreciate you guys. We will see you on Wednesday. Until then, let's go Big Blue.